John, and moving on to club games of 2012. William, I come to you on this one. Any particular club games that stand out in your mind there? I'm thinking of Ulster and Thomond Park must be surely close to the top of the list for you personally.
Yeah, there were 4 or 5 games last year that really sort of got the pulses going. One was the Connacht game against Quins. I thought that was a fantastic game. In fact, the game when Connacht played away at the Stoop in the Heineken Cup against Harlequins was great, and they were very unfortunate. But I watched that. I was jumping up and down with excitement actually at the end of that game when it was a dreadful night and so on. But Harlequins played like drains, but they're only allowed to play because of the opposition. A fantastic night. The game against the Tigers, where Ulster just completely and utterly demolished them and tore them. It was actually quite pleasant to see Mr. Young going off weeping like a schoolboy. I shouldn't say that; it's a bit cruel, but he did. And there you go. But the game that stood out for me, the greatest game of the season for me, was apart from the Ulster-Munster quarter-final, but this one was the Claremont-Leinster semi-final. Again, as I mentioned earlier, that was the weekend that my daughter got married, so I was in Scotland, and I watched it on my laptop on Sky Go, and it was just awesome. What a game! It had everything. I mean, you don't need games to end 44 points to 42 to be a great game. This game was just sensational. The amount of effort and the skill and the power and the commitment of those guys, all 46 of them who ever got onto the field, was just immense, absolutely immense. What can you say about that game? That game would have been a worthy final, and Leinster deserved to win it. Well, they might not have won it, if that try had been scored at the end, but they deserved it. And the try they scored at the start of the second half was just fabulous. It was just glorious, and it really made me feel good because, as I said many times, I want all the Irish teams to win and to win well. So that was the game that stood out for me, way above all else, because I don't think there were 2 other teams in Europe that could have stood with either of those guys that day. I thought that was immense. That's how rugby should be played.
Well, that's certainly a pretty eloquent review of some of the top club games. Alan, any games there besides the ones that William was so passionately reviewed for us there? Any other games that stick out in your mind from 2012?
One definite one for me was the Leinster Ospreys Rabo Grand Final of last season. I thought it was just a brilliant game. It seemed to be about 30 degrees in Dublin. I was still in Luxembourg at the time, and it was just superb. I think Leinster were comfortable favourites with the bookies to do the double, and Ospreys just came to Dublin again and stole the show. That little effort, Shane Williams, has to have the final say against another Irish side by, burying Irish hopes again, and Dan Bigger's kick at the end to win it was just brilliant. And but it was a brilliant quality match. Great to enjoy from a semi-neutral perspective. I was supporting Leinster, but I think I could enjoy it more than a Leinster fan could. It was just a brilliant game of rugby.
Yeah, I think to be fair for a neutral, that was a fabulous game of rugby, and it's hard to begrudge the Ospreys. Forewarned is forearmed and all that, and they'd done it before to Leinster, so Leinster couldn't argue that there was kind of an ambush or anything there. For Ospreys to come to the home of the triple European champions, or 3-time champions in 4 years, and to win, took a bit of guts, and they played some pretty good rugby along the way, and it was nice for Shane Williams, who I think is a player most fans can admire, irrespective of what country or club they support.
Still glad he's retired though, so that he can.
Yeah, but it was a nice way for him to retire.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a pretty bitter pill as an Leinster fan. I'm sure worse for the team, but the grander scheme of things, yeah, I'd agree that was certainly a great game.
Yeah. I'm just going to mention Shane, fantastic player, and yet he probably missed out on about 40 or 50 caps, because for a long time in his career he was deemed by some of the various Welsh coaches to be too small for international rugby. Crazy, because when I first saw him as a 19-year-old, he was just sensational. He got better as he got older, I have to say. But there was a long period of time where he just couldn't get a look in. And there were much, far inferior players playing for Wales than him. So a great career, fantastic man, a really nice guy, and I wish him all the best in whatever he does. I know he's still out in Japan, I think.
Yeah, that's right. He is still in Japan at the moment, so still playing as far as I know. John, if I bring you in there on international games of the year, there was quite a few fairly close and fairly impressive results in 2012. Not least probably the most recent one there with England hammering New Zealand at Twickenham. But any other games that stand out for you?
Well, I think England-New Zealand is probably the game of the year in terms of England were winning at half-time and New Zealand came back with 2 tries in a matter of minutes, and it really set it up. But then England showed fantastic mental strength to come back, to bounce back, and to win so comprehensively. I suppose that was probably the game of the year for various amount of reasons. But there were some other good games. I mean, Australia snatching it late in Argentina with that kick was good. But I think the England game is certainly the game of the year. Yeah,
I think that was a fantastic game, the England-New Zealand. I mean, that 5 minutes from the All Blacks was just, it was out of this world, And suddenly, after those tries, you thought, oh, here we go, New Zealand are going to run in another 20, 25 points and hockey England. And it didn't turn out that way. And I was delighted for England, actually. It was a great win. And I think as fans of sort of underperforming team like Ireland, we like to see the big boys knocked off their perch sometimes. So that was great. I thought, actually, the France-Ireland Six Nations match, the postponed game, was pretty good as well. Bit of a dogfight, and Ireland came very close to recording what would have been a really fantastic, historic victory, and we got the draw, but I thought we were well worth the win, and it was disappointing, but it was a great game. I was on the edge of my seat for it. The pub was buzzing, and it was just unfortunate we couldn't win it.
Yes, certainly was. I mean, maybe it's easy to say it in retrospect, but if our tactics weren't so conservative in the second half as a game, we might have won, but there's no point in dwelling too much on it. But it was certainly a fantastic game. I remember I didn't think I had any nails on my fingers for a good month afterward. It was nail biting to the extreme, and it was a great advert for rugby.
Yeah, it was Tommy Bowles. Tommy Bowe really showed how important he is to Ireland in that game as well. I think he picked up 2 tries. I think one was an intercept where France handed to him, and another one, I think he chipped it over a player and I think kicked it on again, if I remember right, and scored. And it was just brilliant from him, and just really disappointing. We really could have won that. So, but look, that's sport.
Yeah, such an anticlimax to draw. I mean, you've done so much to win, but when it's a draw, no one is really happy with it. But
that's it. In a sort of a league situation or even a Heineken Cup, a draw is okay, but in a 5-game tournament, it's really, as you say, no one leaves happy in the end.
Exactly, but we showed that we could go to a cauldron like in Paris and perform well. So that's why I'm optimistic about this season's Six Nations. I mean, we have the potential to win anywhere. So I'd be